So, by far, the number one concern people have about Venus flytraps are black traps. And I am here today in this video to tell you, are they okay or are they not okay? What you can do about it and when you should worry. All that and more coming your way in just a moment. Without a doubt, black traps are the number one biggest concern that I see over and over again with growers when it comes to Venus flytraps. Now, to understand why a black trap is either good or bad, you have to understand why the traps turn black. Now, there are many reasons, and some are good and some are bad. And so, first and foremost, Venus flytraps have a very high leaf turnover rate. And so that means that they are constantly producing new leaves all the time. And they do this because it is very costly and very energy inefficient to keep traps alive for a long period of time. And to get around this, they will kill them off and produce new ones in fast repetition. Now, the thing to remember is you will never be in a state with your Venus flytrap where you don't have black traps. It is a part of the cycle, and it is something that will happen all the time, no matter how healthy your Venus flytrap is. You will always have black traps. See, there's one down there, and it's incredibly happy burgundy. Now, there are times when it is telling you something. And those times is what I'm going to show you in this video as what to see, because they're not all look the same. And so we're going to talk today about what black traps are normal and which ones aren't. I'm going to give you examples of both and then give you examples of some that aren't for many different reasons so that you can help diagnose and know if your plant is in trouble or if it's a natural process. And then I'm going to show you how to take care of it. So the first type of black trap we're going to look at is whether or not your Venus flytrap is getting too much sun. That seems counterintuitive because everything you hear about Venus flytraps is that they need a ton of sun. And it's not so much the sunlight as it is the heat that comes with it. And then the combination of how much rain you're getting that determines the black traps. So let me turn the camera around and show you one that has gotten too much heat, i.e. sun, and what that looks like so that you can diagnose it. So in front of you, you have a large cultivar known as a Kronos. Now the first thing to note is with large cultivars, you will always have a bigger risk of getting black traps. And that is because it's a larger surface area, more plant tissue, and it's going to be more susceptible to the scorching heat. Venus flytraps, their sweet spot is between 65 and 85 degrees. They certainly can handle temperatures much colder than that and much hotter than that. The problem what you get is when it is in close to 100 degrees for days on end without rain, it will start to stress the plant. And the way the plant reacts is by producing a lot of black traps. Now, how can you tell the difference? Well, the first thing that you're going to see when it's heat related is you're going to see it start to fray on the edges. That is a clear sign of heat-induced black traps. And so you're going to start seeing that on multiple pictures. Here's another one, right? Actually, that's another one we'll talk about. Ignore that one. That's the heat-induced, but I'll tell you about this one here in a minute. But then you're going to start to see several traps at once die off. Now, this could be a sign that the plant is unhealthy, but we'll talk about how you differentiate those two here in just a moment. And so you'll see this. What does this mean? This means that this plant has received too much heat for what it is comfortable with. Now, it doesn't mean the plant is in trouble. It doesn't mean the plant is going to die. It simply means that it is under duress for now. And so it is going to just sort of go through this cycle where it kills off some traps. You can take these off if you want, but you'll see they're very connected still. So you just need to be careful you don't pull the plant out. It really doesn't do a lot of harm to leave it. It just is more of a cosmetic thing. So the second thing we're going to look at is what happens when a plant eats. And does the trap turn black? And if it does, why, and what you can do about it. I just showed you a sneak peek. We'll go ahead and show you that now. That way you can differentiate what a trap that just ate and now is turning black looks like compared to one that's heat stressed that I just showed you. So when a Venus flytrap eats, it is producing digestive enzymes that then break down prey, and then that specifically nutrients like nitrogen is absorbed into the plant. And so if the leaf gets a ton of nitrogen, let's say it's a large insect, you will get what's known as nitrogen burn. And you'll see this on Sarracenia as well, and even Nepenthes. That is a completely okay thing, but you will see here how there is a ununiformed blackness that is occurring. Usually you'll see the trap looking like this, and that is because that got what was called a hermetic seal. And see that sort of bulge in the middle there? That is because there is still prey in there, and so that the plant has received all the nutrients it needs out of that, and so it will kill off that trap. It will get everything it needs. It's perfectly fine. It does not harm the plant at all. You can cut it off if you would like, and everything is perfectly okay. Now I'm going to leave this one because see how it still has some green? It is still very much getting nutrients from that. The other thing to note is each trap usually only gets 1 to 2, maybe 3 catches, depending on if it's small prey. And so you're going to have eventually where it dies off, and that is okay. So there are 2 examples right there of why your traps will turn black and how you can tell the difference. Let's look at like a third one, and that is transplant shock. So I'm going to show you some Venus flytraps I just transplanted, and some of them have turned black in response, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so I just repotted all of these plants, and I'm going to tell you a few things here. One is the reason why I repotted them is because they were in 1-gallon pots, and here in Florida we're getting scorching heat. Now, what I showed you at the very beginning is what those leaves look like when they get too much heat. I recommend planting your Venus flytraps in larger pots for a couple reasons. One is to help regulate soil temperature. A lot of people think right here is where the health of the plant is, but it's not. It's the rhizome. The leaves are a reaction, or what show you the symptoms of whether or not your rhizome is happy. And in smaller pots, especially when it gets extremely cold or extremely hot, the soil, because there's a less amount, heats up or cools off too fast, and it can stress the rhizome out, which then causes the plant to start to turn black. Now, there are some telltale signs of that you can look for. It looks very similar to the one I just showed you at the very beginning, except if it gets in a really bad situation, it will go all the way down. It will take all the leaves off, and all you'll have is a few little stubby leaves growing in the center, and that's when you know you've got an issue and you need an up pot. But right now, for this segment, we're going to talk about transplanting black leaves. And so this is what transplant stress looks like. You have a lot of die-off relatively quickly, and it has gone all the way the length of the petiole, all the way down to the trap base. And then you'll also see that it is sort of sparse. How it happened, it's affecting some plants but not others, and so that is a clear telltale sign, especially if you know that you have just transplanted them, of transplant stress. Oof. Now, it is perfectly fine, everything will be happy, but it is something to note nonetheless, and so it's something to watch out for. If this happens, you will be perfectly fine. The plant will be perfectly fine as long as you have healthy growth, new growth coming out. And now it will stay this way for a couple of weeks, but then it will certainly start to produce new growth. One thing to watch, and I just pulled these off and I want to show them to you. I'm going to have to spray this plant with Bio Advanced 3-in-1, is when a plant is stressed out, it can start to be susceptible to mold and bugs. And so that's exactly what happened here, which is why I pulled them off. And so I will spray those down because they were just transplanted and they will be fine. But I'm not going to do it right now because it's the heat of the day. I'm going to wait until the end of the day, right before sunset, so they don't get photo burn. So when are black traps a problem? And what does that look like? And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what to look for in that case, so that way you are set up for success instead of thinking this is a normal process. What does the abnormal process look like? We're going to use this fly trap as an example. Imagine, if you will, this is a brand new plant and we planted it in our soil, but it was the wrong soil, or we started giving it the wrong water. What would that look like? What would happen? Well, for about 2 weeks, really nothing will happen. Then you'll start to get something like this, and you might think, well, how am I supposed to know the difference between that and heat burn? Well, because it won't stay like this very long. This will stay like this if it's heat burn for weeks on end. It will start off there and immediately start dying very fast. Within about a week, the plant will almost completely die back. You'll also notice some telltale signs before that happens. Your plant will start turning yellow, which is a sign of severe stress, and then the leaves will have a massive die-off. This always happens because people put the plant in regular potting soil and they use the wrong water. So when you get a new plant, make sure that you're using potting soil, or not potting soil, peat moss and perlite, 50-50. That's because it's inert and these plants don't want nutrients. And for your water, use reverse osmosis rainwater and or distilled water. And if you're going to put it outside, acclimate it slowly over the course of 2 weeks to full sunlight, or else you will burn the leaves and they will die off. Well, let's say that you had already bought a plant and you gave it the right soil and you gave it the right water, but you didn't acclimate it. What would that look like? And how can you help protect that, or know what to look for moving forward? We're going to use this Venus flytrap as an example. Now, let's say you did everything right. You gave it the right soil and the right water, but you didn't acclimate it and you stuck it right outside. What you're going to start to notice is that the petioles, which are probably going to be wide, are going to start turning red, almost like a pinkish red, not necessarily this deep burgundy red. And then you're going to start noticing the plant turning yellow, and then shortly after that, all of the leaves will start to shrivel and turn black. Now, a couple things you can do. One is you can take it back out of full sun, and that will slow it down. The other thing is understand that within about a week or two, you'll start to get new growth out of the center, which will look like these little elbow-looking leaves there. And it will recover and be back to full growth in no time. So there are many reasons why a Venus flytrap will produce black traps. Most of them are harmless and just part of the natural cycle of the plant. There are a couple that aren't, and I hope that this video has helped you be able to diagnose which one you're dealing with, whether it's an issue or not, and how to take care of it. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.